For centuries, the Quranic story of Yajuj and Majuj, you might know them as Gog and Magog, has been this huge, epic mystery. We all know the story, a destructive horde, a powerful barrier, an end times prophecy. But what if the way we've always understood it has missed the point completely?
Right, let's get into it. The picture in our heads is usually this monstrous army, smashing through some giant physical wall. But what if the truth isn't buried in some ancient battlefield, but hidden in plain sight, in the very language of the scripture itself? Today, we're going to look at a totally groundbreaking interpretation that flips this entire narrative on its head.
So, to crack this ancient puzzle, we need a special kind of key. And according to Dr. Hani of the Marvelous Quran channel, this isn't some new discovery. It's actually a forgotten way of reading the text, a method of interpretation that gets us closer to how it was meant to be understood.
And that key is something called the Abrahamic locution, or al-lisan al-Ibrahimi. Dr. Hani explains that this isn't just about translating words. Think of it more like a specific lexicon, a kind of code that's embedded within the Quran. And once you have this code, it unlocks a whole layer of metaphorical meaning that a straight literal reading just flies right past.
Let me show you how this works. Let's take the word ard, or ard. Literally, you'd translate that as the earth, simple enough. But in the Abrahamic locution, it means the text of Scripture. I mean, just think about that for a second. An instruction not to corrupt the earth suddenly becomes a powerful warning against corrupting the Scripture. It changes everything.
Okay, so now we have this powerful key. With it, Dr. Hani goes back and re-examines the entire story from the beginning. And the very first domino to fall is the identity of the story's hero.
You see, the great hero of the story, Zul-Qarnayn, has often been pegged as some ancient king, maybe Alexander the Great. But through this locutional analysis, Dr. Hani makes it incredibly clear that the text isn't talking about some distant king. It's actually describing the journeys and the mission of Prophet Muhammad himself.
So that brings us to the famous barrier. What was it actually made of? Well, the text says pieces of iron. Using the locutional key, we see this as a metaphor. Iron, or hadid, points to the sharp, definite boundaries of language. So the pieces of iron weren't metal blocks. They were the people who kept this secret lexicon, the most learned scholars of the time.
And this next part is just brilliant. Molten copper was poured over the iron. As Dr. Hani shows, in the Quran, this copper represents the very essence of pure divine guidance. So what was happening? Prophet Muhammad was using divine wisdom to unite and seal the complex knowledge of these scholars.
And when you put it all together, you get this incredible conclusion. The barrier was never a physical wall in a mountain pass. It was a powerful, defensive political alliance. It was forged by Prophet Muhammad with northern Arab tribes to shield them from their enemies. It was a barrier of strategy, not of stone.
Now we're getting to the main event. We've got the context, we've got the hero, we've got the barrier, so now we can finally use that same linguistic key to figure out who the story's villains, Yajuj and Majuj, really were.
All right, let's break down the name Yajuj. According to Dr. Hani's analysis, this isn't just some random name. It's a title, a description. It comes from the root word ajaja, which means to incite or to fan the flames of a fire. So Yajuj literally describes a group of people with a long, defining history of starting wars and stirring up conflict.
So what about Majuj? Well, in Arabic, the word's form is what's called a passive participle. What that means is they are the ones being acted upon. They're the object of the incitement. They're the ones who are easily provoked by Yajuj, the regional allies who get pushed into fighting the wars that the first group starts.
So who were these groups in history? Dr. Hani puts the pieces together and it's crystal clear. At the time of Prophet Muhammad, Yajuj, the inciters, the warmongers, were the powerful Byzantine Empire. And Majuj, they were the regional allies, the local tribes that the Byzantines were constantly goading into conflict with their neighbors.
And this reinterpretation, it doesn't just solve some ancient word puzzle. No, it unlocks a jaw-dropping historical prophecy. Because that barrier that Prophet Muhammad created had a real-world, tangible impact that lasted for over 1,000 years.
So back in the 9th year of the Hijra, this alliance was formed. And for the next 1,300 years, that's 13 centuries, this strategic barrier and the powers that upheld it protected the Arabian Peninsula from outside invasion. It was an incredible era of security that only came to an end in the early 20th century with the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And as Dr. Hani puts it so powerfully, the protection that Muhammad created defended that whole area for about 1,300 years. No one entered Arabia, not even the Mongols. Just think about that.
Even the Mongols couldn't break through. That shows you the incredible power of this prophetic barrier.
But wait, there's more. The story also prophesied that the land of Yajuj would eventually be overtaken. And as Dr. Hani points out, this was fulfilled to the letter in 1453 with the conquest of Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, the original Yajuj.
So, we've gone through all this history, all this linguistics. What does it actually mean for you and me right now? Well, this interpretation takes a huge, epic prophecy and brings it right down to a deeply personal and pretty urgent message.
Dr. Hani makes a sobering point. For all the obsession people have with the end times, the historical failure rate of every single specific prediction is 100%. Every single one has been wrong. Maybe the focus has been on the wrong thing all along.
And that's the real takeaway here. The purpose of these incredible stories isn't to give us a crystal ball so we can predict the future. It's to act as this powerful, timeless reminder to focus on the one thing we actually can control: our own actions, our own faith, our personal accountability, right here, today. Which brings us to the final, piercing question that Dr. Hani leaves us with. Forget about the world's end time for a moment. What about your end time? If you knew for a fact that your life was going to end tomorrow, what would you do today? Whatever just popped into your head, go and do that.